Hey everyone, what if I told you that right under one of Europe's most crowded cities, a giant supervolcano is stirring? I'm not talking about a sci-fi movie. I'm talking about the Campi Flegrei, or Phlegrean fields near Naples, Italy. And recently, things have been getting weird. We're seeing strange anomalies at one of its most famous craters, Solfatara. The ground is literally boiling, and scientists are trying to figure out what it all means. Is a massive eruption coming, or is something else going on? Let's break down what these boiling vents really mean in simple terms. First, let's get a handle on what Campi Flegrei actually is. Forget the classic cone-shaped volcano like Vesuvius next door. Campi Flegrei is a massive volcanic caldera, which is basically a huge depression in the ground left over from an ancient colossal eruption. Think of it like a giant underground cauldron, 12 kilometers wide, simmering away for thousands of years. The area is home to over 1.5 million people, living directly on top of this sleeping giant. For decades, the Solfatara crater was a huge tourist attraction. People would walk right into it to see the fumaroles, vents in the Earth's crust that release steamy, sulfurous gases. It was like stepping onto another planet. But in 2017, everything changed. A tragic accident led to the crater's closure, and since then, scientists have been monitoring it closely, and what they've found is fascinating and a little unsettling. So, what are these anomalies? The big one is a dramatic increase in the temperature and pressure of the gases coming out of the ground. We're talking about a system that's getting hotter and more pressurized. At the Pisciarelli vent, which is right next to the main Solfatara crater, temperatures have rocketed to extreme levels, and the ground itself is deforming. It's swelling and sinking. This process is called bradyseism, and it's like the volcano is breathing. Right now, it's in a phase of uplift. The ground in the nearby town of Pozzuoli has risen by more than a meter in the last decade. So why is this happening? Let's imagine the volcanic system underground is like a giant pressure cooker. Deep below, there's a magma chamber, a reservoir of molten rock. This magma releases hot fluids and gases, like water vapor and carbon dioxide. These gases travel up towards the surface through a network of cracks and fractures in the rock. Normally, there's a sort of balance, but scientists think this balance is being disrupted. One leading theory is that the rock layers above the magma chamber are changing. For a long time, these rocks were more permeable, meaning they were like a sponge, allowing gases to pass through relatively easily. But now, it seems these pathways are getting clogged. The rocks are becoming less permeable, acting more like a solid cap. Think of it like this. You have a boiling pot of water with a lid on it. If the lid has lots of holes, steam escapes easily. But what if those holes start to close up? The pressure inside the pot builds up. That's what might be happening under Solfatara. The gases are getting trapped, causing pressure and temperature to skyrocket. This intense pressure is what's pushing the ground up and creating these super hot vents. So the big question on everyone's mind, does this mean a massive eruption is about to happen? The short answer is, not necessarily. And here's why it's more complicated than a simple yes or no. Volcanic systems are incredibly complex. An increase in pressure does not automatically mean the magma itself is about to burst through to the surface. What we're likely seeing is a crisis in the hydrothermal system. That's the system of hot water and steam that sits above the magma. The boiling vents are signs that this hydrothermal system is under extreme stress. It could lead to what's called a phreatic eruption. A phreatic eruption isn't a classic magma eruption. Instead, it's a steam-driven explosion. It happens when rising heat flashes groundwater into steam instantaneously, causing a violent blast of rock, ash, and steam. These can be dangerous, especially in a populated area, but they are much, much smaller than a full-blown magmatic eruption. The last major event at Campi Flegrei was a smaller eruption in 1538 that created a new hill, Monte Nuovo. It wasn't a super eruption, but it still reshaped the landscape. Scientists at Italy's National Institute of Geophysics and Volcanology, or INGV, are monitoring the situation 24/7. They use a vast network of sensors to measure ground deformation, seismic activity, earthquakes, and gas chemistry. They're looking for key signs that magma might be on the move. Right now, the data suggests that the unrest is primarily confined to the hydrothermal system, about 2 to 3 kilometers deep. There isn't yet clear evidence that a large body of magma is pushing its way to the surface. However, the situation is evolving. The increased pressure could eventually fracture the rock cap, potentially creating a new pathway for magma to ascend. Or, the system could stabilize and calm down, as it has done in the past after periods of unrest. For example, there was a major Bradyseism crisis in the early 1980s where the ground rose even faster than it is now, but it didn't lead to an eruption. So what the boiling vents at Solfatara really mean is that the volcano is in a critical state. It's a clear warning that the system is unstable and under immense pressure. It tells us that the plumbing system of the volcano is changing, making it harder for it to release its energy gradually. While a catastrophic supereruption isn't considered imminent, the risk of a smaller, more localized phreatic eruption has definitely increased. This is why understanding these anomalies is so crucial. By studying them, scientists can refine their models and better forecast what might happen next. It helps local authorities prepare evacuation plans and keep the public informed. It's a high-stakes geological puzzle, and the clues are literally bubbling up from the ground. Living with a supervolcano is a part of life for the people of Naples and Pozzuoli. They have a deep connection to the land and a history of resilience. But the recent changes at Solfatara are a stark reminder of the powerful forces at play beneath their feet. The boiling vents aren't just a geological curiosity. They are the pulse of a restless giant. So while we don't need to panic, we absolutely need to pay attention. The story of Solfatara is a live lesson in the awesome and unpredictable power of our planet. It highlights the incredible work scientists do to keep us safe and reminds us that some of Earth's greatest wonders are also its greatest threats. Thanks so much for watching. I hope this cleared things up and gave you a better understanding of what's happening at Campi Flegrei. If you found this video interesting, please hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the amazing world of science. Stay curious, and I'll see you in the next video.